This is a BMW 116i, the BMW 1 Series that everyone loves. Now on paper, this has exactly what you want. Rear-wheel drive, 1300 kilos only, an 8-speed auto, great on fuel, luxurious enough, and I think it actually is fun to drive. But is it actually as good as it seems? Or does all those BMW issues destroy the experience? Let's find out.
So what is it? Well, it's a BMW 1 Series. It came in a host of different body styles from a 3-door hatch, 5-door hatch, and convertible, and a coupe. Now the coupe and convertible are only found in the other markets in the world, not the Australian one. But we also had a few different engine options, being a 1.6 NA, a 1.6 turbo, which is what I'm reviewing right now, a flat 6 3-litre engine, which is the most desired one, and then a host of diesel options across the world, mainly being 2-litre turbo diesels. Had a facelift in 2007 and 2011. This one being 2012 has had that 2011 facelift, and I think it looks a lot better, a lot more modern. It was $59,000 brand new, and today they're worth about 15 to 25 grand. There's such a difference in price because of the issues that go wrong with this car, who bothers to fix them and who doesn't. The facelifts were also completely cosmetic, with only difference being a few different trim options that came with it.
So being a BMW, it's got nice little features. This one's a 2012, whole new front end. That means better upgraded lights with features like this thing called stay-at-home headlights. Just means that headlights stay on for like 90 seconds after you turn the car off. The windows are insulated as well, meaning the heat stays in and the cold stays out, or vice versa, depending on what you want. Another part of the facelift means upgraded alloy wheels, which I think is pretty good. And this one's a sport model, meaning it's got sport mode and goes a bit quicker. This one's a hatch, so you get the old rear windscreen wiper. I fucking love this feature. Parking sensors and a single exit exhaust. I reckon it looks pretty good, especially for 2012. Alright, the interior. This is where BMWs are at their strongest point. They're always ahead, they're always innovating, and they're always extremely nice and luxurious. This one is no exception. This has amazing seats. They're bucket seats because of the sportness, and they're really adjustable in heaps of different ways. I love them. You can really find a really comfortable driving position. As far as infotainment, it's not too bad either. You got an aux cable available to 6 speakers, which even to today's standards sound bloody good. Other than that, you get this like silver metal with like this plasticky, rubbery kind of black feeling throughout the entire interior. I think it looks pretty good. It's not too bad, not too expensive. This isn't the BMW M competition or anything. Like, it is more on the base side of BMWs, the 1 Series. But I think the interior is really bloody good. And especially for long drives and stuff like that, it's really quiet. The 8-speed auto always knows to keep the RPM low, so you can get really comfortable and just goes forever and ever. It has nice new luxury features as well, like a start-stop button, which is cool. Hands-free calling as well, so you can connect your phone and answer calls. And back then, that was pretty damn good. Has different driver modes like Eco Pro and Sport Plus. These things are displayed on the screen, and the infotainment system also tells you how pumped your tyres are and little things like that, like how much range you got left in the fuel tank and the average fuel economy doing. And I'll tell you what, that fuel economy is pretty damn low. Usually you can look at averages of like 4.6 litres per 100k. Connected to a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder as well. It just cruises and you get great fuel economy for that reason. But there are some issues with this car, and some of those completely destroy some of these features, like the fuel economy, but we'll get into that. Coming in the back now, it's the exact same as the front. You find this metal silverness around the entire car, and then the black continues. The seats are a bit shit, but it's alright. There's nothing much to entertain yourself. But for a hatch, and a small hatch at that, it's got a lot of space. I'm 5'9". I like to think that's an average height for a male. And this seat is adjusted to my driving position, and as you can see, plenty of height. I don't think I'd have 3 adults in the back here unless you really fucking like the person sitting next to you. But for 2 adults and maybe a child, plenty of room. This is a hatch, which like the Magpie says in the background, is pretty damn spacious. I like hatches. I think they're the best type of car, especially because how practical they become. You can chuck a bike back here or anything. If I get out of the way, you can actually see how much space there is. You can chuck the back seats down flat as well, making even more space. Nice. So this, like I said, is a 1.6 litre auto. It's also turboed, so it puts out 100 kilowatts of power, which is actually quite alright. When you're driving this, which we'll get into later, it actually feels really snappy. That's because of the turbo. The power kicks in at like 3000 RPM. You don't need to wring the tits off it like a naturally aspirated 1.6 litre. So yeah, the power figure is low, but the turbo is tiny and really bloody responsive. Paired with the 8-speed auto, you can put it in Sport Plus mode. It holds the gears and you can actually have quite a lot of fun with this engine. Alright, driving the thing. Goes alright. Plenty of power, 100 kilowatts, so it's enough to get around town. And because there's so many gears, they're all really short and sharp, so you can really like ping it, it'll kick back, and it actually goes surprisingly well. And I'm only in economy mode right now, which is pretty cool as well. It shows you how much fuel you're saving as you're saving it. With the drive modes, they actually do something. A lot of these cars in this generation, the drive modes are kind of just there and they don't really do much. They just hold gears longer. But the Sport and Sport Plus, they actually have features to it. I'm not going to get into them, but it's usually just like turns the traction control off, individual braking, stuff like that. The comfort, softened suspension, boost levels are lower for the turbo. You know, I like that it actually does something and you can tell. Like some cars you turn it on and you don't even know something's happening. Being lightweight, it actually is noticeable. Like you can really throw it into a corner. Like this is a sporter one. And with these seats, they do actually grab you. And there's so much adjustment. You're guaranteed to find a spot you'll like. And my arms are comfy on the steering wheel. It's beautiful. Just taking it around these suburban areas though, like it is very comfortable. You can't even feel the gear changes. It's smooth as. I've got the AC going. It's freezing cold. And it's really, really quiet in here. These windows are insulated and it makes a big difference. Everything's nice and soft. The leathers are really good quality. Some of the Japanese cars and Korean cars, the leather's stiff and it kind of takes away from the luxury, but German cars, they're bloody good. The leather's actually soft and breathable. Honestly, if you told me this was a 2020 car, I'd actually believe it. Everything is exactly how modern cars are. It's super comfortable. Like, I know I keep going on about that, but like, it's just so easy to drive. It's not a chore at all. You don't even have to think. The steering's super light, everything's responsive, everything's really forgiving, which I love in a car like this. It's an economy car and it's perfect at that. I'm going onto some windy roads, so I'm going to knock it down to Sport, go down to Sport Plus, and in these roads, the Sport Plus, you really feel it. It does turn off traction control, so try not to bin it, but you can actually tip it in pretty well, get on it. It's pretty responsive. Taking it around these corners, there's actually a lot of feel in the steering wheel, and these seats you can adjust to hug you even more. I'll tell you what, this sporty car, I kind of like it. Because the turbo is so small, it's so responsive, and I'm only doing like 40 now, but because I'm going around corners, that rear-wheel drive BMW experience, it's on full display. The tyres are thick as well, like you get great grip. Wow, it just sticks like glue. I can really see how people like these BMWs. Going into sport mode, I'm currently cruising at 60, but if you flat foot it, drop a gear, there you go. Off you go. It's only 100 kilowatts, but it's really early in the rev range because of that tiny turbo. So if you're not doing high speed stuff, just around town, you can fly. Merging onto a freeway now. In Sport Plus, just rolling onto the throttle. It goes good. It's not net braking speed, but you know, I thought this would be slow. This is only the 1.6 litre. I thought it was going to be really slow. But this is really, really responsive. I'm sitting at about 90 k's an hour right now on the freeway. 1600 RPM, quiet as anything. There's no road noise at all. You can sit here all day. I've got the AC on, I'm comfortable. It's grouse. It's so quiet. This is in comfort mode as well. You can really feel the suspension soften up.
The throttle feels a little softer, the steering wheel's lighter. I love it. The only bad thing I noticed about driving it is the 8-speed gearbox is great, but sometimes it doesn't know which gear to go in. Because if you're on partial throttle, it's like, shit, do I drop it down 3? Do I leave it as it is? But really, I'm nitpicking, and I'm sure all gearboxes are like that. I'm used to my manuals. I don't really drive autos that much, so I don't have much experience with it. But I just do find sometimes I'd rather be in a higher or lower gear. But 90% of the time, I don't notice it. That's the reality with BMWs. They're amazing to drive. I think they're really good to look at. They're a great driving experience for thrashing them as well. But when you're not driving it and when it's in the mechanic store, that's when they suck. It's that fear that you don't get that peace of mind that you just don't know if this is going to grenade tomorrow or if it could be reliable for 10 years. And then when it does grenade, it's bloody expensive.
Ah, yes, the issues. All the fucking issues. I love this engine while it's running good. This engine in particular has 77,000 Ks and it's already had a timing chain needing to be done and is still running codes left, right and center. And that's not just because this is a lemon. That's BMW for you. If this doesn't have a timing chain done regularly, the entire car will have a meltdown. And while you're at the timing chain, you're going to find that it's pissing oil from basically everywhere. The rocker cover is usually a hot spot for that. On top of that, more common issues are the coolant reservoir is known to crack and then piss coolant everywhere, which then overheats the engine. Then your engine blows, and because it's BMW, it's expensive as shit to fix. Also, this is direct injection, which is good for fuel economy. That's how it gets its fuel number. Until the intake manifold gets completely clogged with carbon because the injection isn't cleaning it out, which then makes the engine have to work harder because it's not flowing as efficiently. And then as a result, you destroy all that fuel economy you get. Nice. Ah yes, the issues don't stop on the mechanical part. Oh no, that wouldn't be BMW. These are common issues. When I'm making these car videos, there's usually 3 to 5 common issues on a car. You're going to figure out how many more there are on this. These are electric mirrors. Nice, until they stop working. The door handles are notorious for just coming off. Good luck finding a replacement of this, and if you do, it's going to cost you a couple of bucks. The windows get stuck shut as well. At the back here, this is an issue just for the hatches. The little thing that pisses all the water out, that gets clogged. Then it leaks down into the cabin and that creates mold and all types of issues because it gets overflowing with water. Coming around even more. This fuel cap suddenly just stops working, so when you need to fill up and you open it, it just won't open and then you're screwed. That's another issue. And these are all common exterior issues. Let's see what goes wrong inside. Another thing, like I mentioned the wetness in the back, there's more wetness issues. Some of the bolts that hold the seats down aren't always fastened properly, which leads moisture to come from the bottom up. That creates even more water and rust issues. On top of that, on the instrument cluster, there's always a warning light. Common ones are airbags and seatbelts. Under the seat, all the wires can get screwed up easily over time, and over time I mean a couple of years. And that sends the car into a meltdown and just sends heaps of lights on the instrument cluster. And tracking them down is hard as shit. This car doesn't have Bluetooth, but if yours does, which was an optional extra or standard after 2013, even if your car is unlocked because it's, say, in your garage or whatever, the Bluetooth is constantly trying to find a device, which then drains a battery. So if you leave your car overnight unlocked or in any position, your battery is going to be dead in the morning. Nice. So should you buy one? The shorter answer is no, in my opinion. For the simple fact that I think these are just too unreliable, and when something does fuck up, you're going to be in spending a lot of money to fix it. And I think for the same price, you can buy a Mazda 3 of the same year, have 85% of the luxuries, and then only 10% of the headaches. It just makes a better value to me. Now, the M1, the inline 6 3-litre, I think that's a much better car than this, but it is also much more expensive. But if you've got the money and can afford the inline 6, I think that's the one to buy. Notoriously lower on issues, just goes a lot better, is more fun, cheaper to own. That's the car to own. BMW clearly invested time and effort into that one, and these ones are kind of left in the dark. And for the average person, it just costs way too much to own compared to how much it is to buy outright.